Hello, what's going on? Hello, welcome to another episode of Read With Me. I'm yours truly, Isabel Badell, and I'm here to read with you once again. This amazing book, y'all. Oops. Invent it, sell it, bank it. So good. Y'all got to go to the other videos to really get the full scope of why it's so good, because there's one thing about business that people, yes, they whine and complain about all day long, and they almost treat it like a preaching opportunity. It's like there's so many different steps. I haven't gotten to where I am. Why hasn't it happened yet? Like all this. And in the previous chapter, she pretty much laid out how she took her idea from her mind, where it only lives in her mind and she's the only one that can really see it. She put it onto paper, and then she had it formally created, which then was taken into someone else's hands and transformed into a product that can now be held by someone else other than herself, than her husband, than the prototype person. And then, because of all that research, all that energy, all that effort, okay, then out of opportunity, okay, and some call it luck, she attended a wedding, and everybody in the room literally became her team, became the person that was going to create the molds, create the product, put it up into the manufacturing thing. Like, it always happens like that. So I absolutely love that chapter because, yes, it is something that I heavily believe in. Both Vanessa and I, like, if we want something, we always get it. We always get it because of the simple fact that we're now like scared to go out there and get it. For example, I'll give you one example. Okay. We are living in Mexico right now. Okay. I'm a US citizen, Vanessa's a US citizen, and we are looking to get a dual citizenship here in Mexico. So there's a moment in time that you have to live here in Mexico and you have to do the work. Like, we have to go to Austin and get Vanessa's birth certificate, get it apostilled. Then we have to do a couple of different meetings, and then we have to pay for the citizenship. We have to do this, we have to do that, we have to get this, we have to get that, but we got to make it happen. You know, you can't just think and then it'll happen. You have to think and do, and it'll happen. So what I'm excited about is to get into this chapter 4, okay? Because it's also a very important topic right here. Research your market. And I think this is one of our favorite topics because we invested about 5 years into researching our particular audience through surveys, through DMs, through cold outreach, through warm outreach, through hot outreach, through conversations on a daily basis, asking people what they need, what they want, how do they want it, what works, is this working for you, is it not working for you, getting rejection day in and day out. That's how we found out the answers. Okay. So in this particular chapter here, okay, I'm excited to get into it because it's also a really, really intense type of chapter. Like, it has step-by-step stuff. And what I'm going to do is actually split it up into 2 parts. Chapter 4 is going to have 2 parts because she lays it down. And even though this particular book is for inventors, okay, people in business that are selling an actual product, or they're thinking about something in their head and they want to put it into the world and sell it, it also applies to coaches. It also applies to business owners doing a service. Like, it also applies to online. Okay, you don't have to be an inventor, okay, to understand what's going on in here. I just absolutely love the fact that we've been able to take that word inventor and turn it almost into like entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, or even coach in some scenarios. So I'm excited for you. Let's get into it. Chapter 4 of Invent It, Sell It, Bank It by Lori Greiner, y'all. All right, let's get into it. Forget mistakes, forget failure, forget everything except what you're going to do now and do it. Today is your lucky day. Love that. Will Durant. It's so easy for inventors to get carried away in their enthusiasm. With every new idea, we are convinced we've created an amazing solution to a big problem, or that there is a hole in the market that only our invention can fill. But sometimes, if we're not careful, we can misjudge the market. Sometimes the problems that makes us want to tear out our hair are simply mild annoyances to others. Sometimes our solutions are more problematic than the problem is trying to solve. All entrepreneurs are passionate about their product. However, there's passion and there's delusion. Market research can confirm that your invention warrants the first, and it can save you from the latter. It's the reality check on your unbridled enthusiasm and ambition. Market research can also help you avoid making one of the most common mistakes of new inventors, which is manufacture a product even before getting a single order. This is a terrible idea. Inventors who fall into this trap usually think they are being models of preparedness. They think that they're going to get hit with a tsunami of orders, and they're taking proper precautions to make sure they can fulfill them. But ordering product before receiving orders isn't an example of preparedness. It's one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make. First, you've put yourself in the hook to pay all those units, even though you have no guarantee of revenue. Second, you now have the additional burden of paying for storage. Third, when you order your inventory too soon, you're wasting the money you paid for your prototype because you're undermining one of the main reasons you got it into the first place, to conduct your market research. Placing an order too soon with a manufacturer has ruined countless inventors. Avoiding adding yourself into the unfortunate list and conduct your market research rigorously. Done properly, it will add substance to your pitch and to your claim that millions of customers are just waiting to get their hands on your invention. Your market research will focus on 3 main areas of interest. First, you will want to know as much about the competition as possible. Are there other products out there like your invention? And if so, who makes them, who buys them, and how well do they sell? Second, you will want to be informed about the consumer market in general. What is the state of the economy and how is it affecting consumers and their spending habits? What is the trend right now? Finally, you want to know specifically whether people will like your invention and recognize its usefulness and appeal. I like all of these. Okay, first, these 3 are very, very important. First, you will want to know as much about the competition as possible. So, and I'm just going to be direct and speak to coaches here because those are my audiences. Okay, these are my people. Okay, so coaches, what other business coach is out there that's selling a specific program just like you? Okay, how many business coaches are there right now? It's a lot. Second, what is the state of the economy? How is it affecting consumers and their spending habits? What is on trend right now? I would literally use social media to find out the trends, especially TikTok. It's awesome. Like a lot. I think I saw this 2 days ago. I think it was over 65% of the trends that are happening on Instagram right now stem from TikTok. over 65% of the trends that are happening on TikTok go into Instagram. Like, it's crazy. What is the state of the economy? So are people willing to go into the coaching? Are they willing to pay for a coach right now? What is it that you need to understand about the economy right now and the state of where people are, so you can manufacture the exact messaging that will resonate with them in their current present state? And then finally, you want to know specifically whether people will like your invention and recognize its usefulness and appeal. And a way to do that is through surveys. Like, she literally went into the streets of Chicago and asked around. Okay. And you don't have to go onto the streets, but you want to get into the DM. You want to go out there and make videos. You want to reach out to people. You want to ask them questions. That's how you get answers. Okay. And it's not about creating a survey that has like 20 different questions, because nobody's going to take the time to do that. Okay. It's being strategic in how you answer those questions. And if you want to know more about that, go to ivyleads.com. Anyways, let's continue with this. For the first two types of investigations, you're researching information that has already been documented. And it's the kind of data you can get by scouring the internet, the news, and well-researched blogs, and by reading trade reports, white papers, and any other previously conducted market research you can find. To get real insight into the third area of interest, which taps into your potential customers' wants and needs, you need to go straight to the customers themselves. Bam! To get real insight into that third area of interest, which taps into your potential customers, their wants, their needs, you need to go straight to them. That's it. You will know more about them than any other report or white paper or blog, to be honest. Anyways, here are 3 keys to getting useful feedback. When you're doing your market research, keep this in mind. You're not looking for positive feedback. You're looking for accurate feedback. It will do you absolutely no good to get overwhelming positive response to your invention if you've asked the wrong people the wrong questions in the wrong way. In fact, inadvertently soliciting inaccurate feedback could be equally ruinous as placing an order with a manufacturer before you have any order, so don't do it. Let's discuss the 3 keys to obtaining accurate feedback through market research. Number 1, anonymity. Family members and friends are often an important source of emotional support for new inventors. However, when you are conducting your market research, you should avoid them entirely. Do not ask the opinion of people who you love, or who like you, or who love you, or even know you, because they will either A, refuse to hurt your feelings and tell you they like your idea no matter what they really think, or B, harbor jealous feelings and tell you they don't like it. No matter what they really think, you never know. People are either for you or against you. They're never neutral. Come on, Lori. That's so true. And then number 2, the right questions. Leave no stone unturned. Create a written questionnaire that asks as many detailed questions as possible, but not so many it overwhelms your respondent. If people have been gracious enough to stop to give you a few moments of their time, don't make them regret their decision by handing them a packet the thickness of a dictionary. Lord, I know. A quick 1-pager will be sufficient. Listing maybe 8 to 10 questions. You don't want to take up too much of their time. Believe me, that would certainly affect the kind of answers they offered, assuming they even completed your survey. As most people know, the way in which you ask a question can influence the reply you get and will skew and it will skew your results. So for example, consider the different answers you'd get to these particular questions. Number one, unrecycled paper compromises 40% of the amount of solid waste in your landfills. What do you think of this desktop automatic paper dissolver? Oh God. What you use this desktop paper dissolver? Would you use this desktop paper dissolver? Your question should be short and neutral. Yes. Do you like the product? If you don't like it, why? Would you buy it? Do you have a need for it? Where would you expect to find this? Would you buy this for someone else? If yes, who? Would you buy multiples? If yes, why? What would you pay for it? Those are good ones. For that last question, you would include multiple choice answers. For example, if you wanted to sell your product for under $25, you'd ask the most important question, what would you pay for this? You could offer respondents options of $14.99, $19.99, $29.99, and $34.99. By going from the extreme low to the extreme high, you're not steering people toward a tiny range, which allows you to get a good grasp of how many people value your product. Number three, a large cross section of people. You always want to seek out opinions of your target audience, of course, but don't put limits on yourself or your invention. You never know. You may think that your market is women between the ages of 30 and 50, and then discover that in fact, it's women between the ages of 20 and 30, as well as men. My market research informed me that the one major assumptions was flat out wrong. I thought every woman would want one of my organizers because I thought every woman liked jewelry and had a collection of it. It never occurred to me that there were women who didn't even care for jewelry and owned little, if any. That was a good thing to know. Keep your reach broad. And if you find that your target market or if your market is skewed in a direction that you hadn't anticipated, go with it. Follow the consumer's lead, but go with your overall response. Perhaps 20% of the women I spoke with said that they didn't own a lot of jewelry, but the majority did. Wow, that's so strong. That is so freaking crazy. Wow. Keep your reach broad. And if you find that your market skews in a direction you hadn't anticipated, go with it. Follow your consumer's lead. Follow the consumer's lead. Follow the consumer's lead. Damn, it's so freaking good. And it's when you've done it that you're like, girl, you're speaking so much truth right now. And it feels so good. So anyways, let's keep going because this is wild. Okay, so now she's gonna get into where to do your research. Social media. Not very long ago, unless you were a large business with the funds to pay a market research company to do the work for you, the only way to find out more about the potential market for your invention would be to question your circle of friends and acquaintances, which, as we just discussed, is not informative, or to canvass the population where you live. It just wasn't feasible for a first-time inventor to test a broader national or even a global market. All that changed was with the internet and social media. All of this changed with internet and social media. Almost every social media outlet has the search capability that allows you to target potential buyers and listen to the conversations that they are having about the problem your invention could solve. If you choose, you can sometimes even engage in dialogue with your market, asking questions to elicit responses that will help you confirm your beliefs about your invention and the market you hope to serve. I often ask my Facebook fans to weigh in on products I'm developing. On Twitter, you can do a hashtag searches or follow trends and get direct, uninhibited, and honest insight into how your potential consumers think and feel about any number of topic, brands, and products straight from the horse's mouth. You can customize those searches to give you results for a specific geographic location, or you can click on global to get worldwide results. If you wanted to get really specific, you could use Twitter's advanced search option, which could conceivably help you find out how many people sent tweets containing, for example, the words luggage or Christmas trees from a location near, say, Salem, Oregon. You can conduct less intense research on Pinterest, which is a mecca for anyone passionate about food, clothing, accessories, crafts, or home decor, among many other visual appealing categories. By searching any of the pin categories or doing a word search, typing in wine aerator shows you an endless scroll of beautiful images of different wine aerator designs. Which ones have been repinned the most? What are the names of the boards on which they've been repinned? If you see images of something that relates to your product, it is on boards with titles like Things I Can't Live Without or My Favorites. That should tell you something. On Facebook, you can take advantage of the graph search and look at who has publicly proclaimed interest in an area relevant to your product. So for example, if you ask to see people who like martial arts, you'd be privy to a list of over 1 million people. In addition, you can see the geographic area where they live and often what they read, what shows they watch, what brands they like. From that, you might be able to extrapolate spending habits and consumer preferences. Many times you can use these social media search options to gather information about how your audience feels about your competitors and what your competitors are doing to serve them. From some, you can get a general idea of how often your customers shop, how much money they spend, and where and when they spend it. And most of the time, you can get this information for free. If you've got some money to spend, you can pay to get access to even greater amounts of detail on the people who might buy your product. Whew, that was so good. And it's so refreshing to hear this because, I think one of the things that, social media has brought to us is the divine gift of information. Like, again, we live in an information age, but the simple opportunity that you can see someone's profile picture, let's say on Instagram, see the profile picture, read their bio, look through their feed, see if they're a real person, read their captions, and then literally send them a direct message directly to them and have open rates upwards of 88%. It's just like, wow, how amazing is that? Now, what's really important is, okay, cool. Now that you've sent that message to them, how can you actually get them to answer some questions for you so you can understand more about them? Okay, well, this is where all this comes in. I mean, she's talking in Facebook, and she's talking about Pinterest, and she's talking about Twitter. Like, there's so many different platforms that you can actually maximize your reach on. And now more than ever, people are willing to say hello, or they're willing to say, no, that doesn't align with me. Can you please share with me more information? There's so many different responses out there, but it's key to start that conversation, period. Then she gets into talking about online survey companies. Okay, these are terrific and inexpensive tools for expanding the scope of the population you'd like to question regarding your product and your market. One of the most popular is SurveyMonkey. There you can send questionnaires to as many people as you can send questionnaires to as many members of their audience, regular survey takers who have been recruited to answer additional surveys like yours, as you like. The cost of conducting the survey is based on your targeting criteria, the size of your audience, and the number of completed surveys. You can tailor questions to find out about your target customers' reading, buying, and entertainment consumption habits, but you can also be a little more nuanced and find out, for example, what factors influence them most at the point of purchase, or what considerations they're making before spending money. Wow, this is what influences them most at the point of purchase, or what considerations they make before spending money. I'm going to check out SurveyMonkey. Okay, I know that we use our own survey system to create forms and surveys and stuff like that, but I didn't know about this tool that you can actually go into SurveyMonkey and pull out information about their audience. And I know that a lot of these online survey companies, they actually allow you to purchase information. But I'm going to actually go do that because that's really good. Okay. Crowdfunding campaigns. This is going to be a good one too. Some people gain valuable information by doing a mock auction of their item via crowdfunding. These are entrepreneurs willing to take the risk of revealing their products online without the protection of a patent. Interesting. You'll see people on fundraising sites posting photographs of their products while trying to raise money. It works. When people get a glimpse of something cool, they often jump at the chance to be a part of its creation, especially if one of the rewards for donating is the product itself. These inventors are gambling that once they've obtained their funding, they can get their product into retailers and build brand recognition and loyalty before any competitor has time to copy and eat at their market share. But revealing your product online before you have a patent is something to consider carefully. I personally recommend trying to have some coverage. It's always safer if you have a patent or one pending. Yet it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, revealing the product will allow you to raise dollars to help you get started. And you may even get contacted by a manufacturer, a manufacturer's rep, or a distributor. They often watch sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo to find products that might be right for them. We'll talk about more of this fundraising sites like these in chapter 5. On the other hand, once you put your product online, you are now extremely vulnerable to poachers. Okay. Some overseas manufacturers or nefarious types will watch these sites to get ideas for products and then do them without you. Factories surf the internet all the time looking at popular products, even best-selling items on websites like QVC or Amazon to find new ideas and products that can knock off. I can't stomach the idea of seeing someone else steal a product that you've put so much work into and that you were hoping would provide a better future for yourself and your loved ones. However, it's an extremely personal choice, and not every product is patentable. Also, for some inventors, the cost for applying a patent is prohibitive, and everyone's tolerance for risk differs. For some, the opportunity to get funding or gain brand awareness might outweigh the risk of losing control over their ideas. Make the best, most financially sound choice you can, but be aware of how hard it is to protect a product once its image gets passed around online. Once it's out there, the world can see it, for better or for worse. Face-to-face market research, okay? Social media provides entrepreneurs with an effective, inexpensive, and sometimes absolutely free way to talk to your target audience and find out how they feel about the problem you're trying to solve with your invention. Yet, in these days when SurveyMonkey and Twitter can give you access to almost any consumer in the market from Miami to Anchorage, the best way to gauge how people are going to react to your product and predict whether they will buy it is still with a hands-on introduction. I agree. I totally agree. I absolutely love face-to-face meetings, especially with people that we've met online. Over 80% of our amazing coaches, we've never met them. Actually, it's a bit higher than that. We've never met in person. We've met through Zoom, but it's a beautiful thing when we meet because it's like, oh my God, you're actually real. So it's awesome. I love that feeling. Okay. An inventor doing market research for a new product is a bit like a new parent introducing his or her baby to the world. However, only a monster would peer at a new parent's infant and say, wow, that's an ugly baby. New inventors out in the field have no protection against such blunt assessments. However, you need to be okay with that before heading out. In fact, you need to insist on brutal honesty, regardless of how much it hurts, because doing so will save you from potentially much greater pain later. Make sure the people you talk to understand that they will be doing you a disservice if they sugarcoat their feedback. In fact, when I did my market research for the first invention, I found that one of the best ways to ensure objective replies and avoid making people feel on the spot or obligated to be nice was to avoid telling them that the product I was asking them to evaluate was mine. I just told them I was conducting market research on a new product, and no one ever thought to ask me who had designed it. Only if someone was really going crazy over it would I admit it was mine, because I thought they might be willing to spend a little more time with me so I could continue to delve even deeper with questions. You might think that it could be nerve-wracking to and uncomfortable to ask perfect strangers to pass judgment on something that means so much to you. Maybe it is for some, but it wasn't for me. I like honesty. I can deal with it, and I feel it helps me to make good, smart decisions. Most entrepreneurs I know felt the same way when they did their market research. I couldn't wait to get out there and find out what consumers had to say because my financial success or ruin depended on it. If you do feel awkward, never let people know it. Think about it this way. You've got an advantage over telephone pollsters in that you can actually show a friendly face, make a little joke and use props. Do not be shy, yet do not be pushy. Don't start out with the sales gimmick of asking some kind of goofy question to which most people can say yes. Be extremely careful not to get too close and invade people's physical space so that you make them feel uncomfortable. Simply approach people in a friendly and unthreatening manner, and in your nicest, most polite tone, say, would you mind giving me your opinion about a brand new product? If they're not in a hurry to get anywhere and you don't make them feel pressured or uncomfortable, a surprising number of people will stop and hear you out. Use levity always. No one minds spending time with a person who makes them laugh. You might offer them a small trinket like a pen or a flashlight in appreciation for their time. Everybody loves freebies, no matter how small. And hey, if you're trying to build a brand, handing out inexpensive promotional gifts is a good way to start getting name recognition. You can conduct face-to-face market research anywhere, such as at carnivals, flea markets, festivals, shopping malls, and parks. You'd be amazed at how productive a few days at a street fair can be. Any place where a large cross-section of population congregates and that doesn't charge you an arm and a leg to set up a booth or a table to exhibit your prototype is where you want to be. Be creative and be brave. Some of the most prolific and successful inventors got their start demonstrating their products out of the backs of their cars, on the side of the road, in parking lots, and on street corners. I know that pounding the pavement works because that's what I did. When I designed my first invention, I felt in my gut that I had created a unique solution to a near universal problem for women who wore earrings. I knew my own mother had been late to countless events because she had been digging through her cavernous jewelry box hunting for an earring. But if it turned out that Pam, my friend, the massage therapist, and I were the only two women in Chicago driven crazy every day inner in by our ineffectiveness jewelry boxes. I wanted to know immediately, not after sinking my life savings into a product no one wanted. Soon as my prototype was complete, I visited as many of Chicago's socio-economical diverse areas as I could, and I asked people to fill out my marketing questionnaire, look at my earring organizer, and tell me if they would buy it. I started out right in front of the beautiful Fourth Presbyterian Church on Michigan Avenue, across from the John Hancock Building. Why a church? Michigan Avenue is like Fifth Avenue in New York City or Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles. It's not the kind of neighborhood where retailers take kindly to people sitting anywhere near their storefronts, but it does attract a wide array of shoppers and tourists from all over the world. I needed to be there. I chose to sit in front of the church because I thought a church might not shoo me away or call the police to report me for loitering. A church kind of has to be nice to you. I discreetly parked myself at a little table in a small corner at the front of the building, my organizer hidden beneath a small piece of black fabric. I'd carefully approach every woman who passed by with a huge smile on my face and ask if she could take a few minutes to answer a questionnaire about a really cool new earring organizer. And look, I'd say, I'll give you this pen if you'll give me 5 minutes. Like it was the greatest gift in the world. People would generally laugh. The small gesture would often break the ice. I probably got about 75% of the people I approached this way to talk to me and answer my questions. If you're fun and jovial, people won't find you threatening. Every time I showed my invention to a stranger when doing my market research, it would cross my mind that there was the possibility that the person could actually steal my idea. But I knew I didn't have a choice. You probably have the same reservations, but you can't live in fear. Fear can be paralyzing. And if you're not always moving forward, you might as well give up now. I didn't have a choice back then, and neither do you. If you don't let anyone see your product, you can't get the information that you need. So just be careful. Let people handle your invention and give you their honest opinions. Keep your product under wraps, literally, if you can, as I did by hiding my organizer under a black fabric unless a woman had it in her hand. It will work to your advantage. There's no better way to pique people's curiosity than to offer them a chance to see something no one else is allowed to see. Take every step you can take to protect yourself and still get the information that you need. And whatever you do, do not allow anyone to take pictures. I performed my routine hundreds of times on Michigan Avenue from sunup to sundown. Maybe a day or so later, I headed to a shopping mall on the west side of Chicago. The sun after that, I was approaching women at a mall on the south side, and the next day, I was at a mall on the north side. In less than a week, I presented my product to every socioeconomic demographic the city had to offer. I also hit the Taste of Chicago, the biggest food festival in the world, where hundreds of restaurants set up booths for people to taste their preparations. It's a huge city event that attracts an enormous cross-section of people, and it was the perfect place for me to canvass potential customers. Unfortunately, booths for the event had to be reserved months ahead of time. Normally, I'm very eagle, and big on following the rules. But 6 months earlier, I didn't have an idea for an earring organizer on the need for a booth. And now I did. And this was too good of an opportunity to miss. So I snuck in. That a girl. There was a little section at the end of the fair set up for local artisans to show their wares. I asked some of the jewelry makers if I could sit between them and display their earrings on my organizer. I could help them push their jewelry while people filled out my questionnaire. It was a perfect symbiotic relationship. I helped increase these artists' sales by drawing attention to their earrings, and they helped me demonstrate how useful my product was to get my questionnaire answered. I probably sat there for 2 or 3 hours before the police finally came and shooed me away because I didn't even have an official booth. They were right to do so, of course. By then, though, I had gotten all the information I needed anyway, and my information told me that the organizer was going to be on every jewelry lover's wish list. My gut had always told me this invention was a hero, and now I had the closest thing I'd ever have as proof until it went on sale. And then she actually gives us about 5 cool tips. If people criticize your design or otherwise offer a critique, don't argue back. Don't try to convince them that their initial reaction is wrong. Listen, take some notes, and pay attention to patterns. You'll never please everyone, but if you go out there and hear a resounding and consistent no, pay attention. Be grateful you're able to find out now that no one wants or understands your invention. Not after you've got units sitting on the shelves gathering dust. If, on the other hand, you get enthusiastic responses like, wow, I wish I'd thought of that, or I would definitely buy that, that tells you people are excited by your idea and are likely to buy it. That's a beautiful tip, Lori. That's a beautiful tip. If you're in the DM and you get a no thank you, hey, I appreciate you. Actually, thank you for letting me know. By the way, you can go into another question after that, but the percentage of reviews that need to be positive in order for you to trust data depends on your product. If you're selling something brand new, you want to see an approval rating between 60 to 70%. This means that your concept has resonated with the population. But if you're simply adding a new option to a competitive market, your numbers don't have to be quite as high. Apple's iPhone has 14% of the US mobile market. 14% wouldn't be a great number if Apple were only competing against one other mobile company. But given the much competition there is for market share, 14% is still a lot of units being sold. No one can say that iPhone isn't working. Number 3, use this time to understand your product and hone your pitch. Before you show your product, you should have all your top selling features down cold. Features. What problem your invention solves, how it works, why your consumer needs it. Once your product is sitting on a shelf, your packaging will answer those questions for you. But when you're showing it to people, you need to present it in such a way that consumers quickly understand its qualities and whether they would use it. If it's hard to explain now, no one is going to get it when it's sitting on the shelf without you. Wow, I love that one actually. That's a strong one. You want to make a neutral presentation of the facts. You're not trying to convince people to like your invention. You want to come to the conclusion that it's terrific on their own. You don't want to pressure people to give you the answer that they think that you want to hear. When you're speaking to people about your invention, just outline what the product is and what it does. Don't observe your customers. Okay. When you're speaking to people about your invention, just outline what the product is and what it does, and observe your customers' reactions. Watch them handle your product. Read their eyes if you can. Does it make them smile? Do their brows furrow? Do they press it into their friends' hands so they can try it too? All of this information is so useful. The way you ask questions matters. This is number 5. The way that you ask questions matter. Sometimes when I would ask people whether they liked the organizer or thought it was cool, the answer would be an empathetic yes. But I pressed forward and asked whether they would buy the organizer. If they said no, it was usually because they didn't like having anything on their dresser or countertop. So sometimes if people say yes, it's because they like something. So it's smart to ask another question that digs deeper, such as whether they would purchase it, and if not, why. It helps you gain a better and broader perspective of your product and consumer. The hard questions are so important. And now we're going to finish off this part here. This is part 1 of chapter 4. Now, what people say and how people behave don't always necessarily line up. Your market research can't guarantee sales, and all it can do is give you a fairly good idea of how consumers feel in general, and at first flush about your product. You can use your market research to figure out your best strategy and determine whether people will want to buy your product, but you can't count on the results 100%. Often, your product's performance in the market will take you completely by surprise. When I did my own research, overwhelmingly, the majority of women I approached who said they liked jewelry also said that they would buy the organizer. Yet, in the areas where people most said they'd buy, it is where the organizer sold the least. While the consumer said they least buy, it is where it actually sold in retailers the most. This is an example, an excellent time to be testing, analyzing, questioning your product and your sales strategy from every angle so that you can address any issues well before you start to pitch retailers or place an order with your manufacturers. The sooner you figure out the flaws or your weaknesses and fix them, the better. That's strong. At the end of your market research, you should be able to answer the following. And she has these 5 key questions. I'll give them to you. Number 1, the percentage of people who liked your product, the percentage who did not like it, the percentage who were neutral, the percentage of people who felt my product was something they wanted, the percentage of people who felt it was something they needed, the percentage of people who said they would buy it. Overall, consumers said they would pay between this amount and this amount for the product, where they said they would expect to find it. And then quantifying your feedback forces you to objectively weigh the likelihood of your product success on the market. So freaking important. I love this. I love this so much because we accidentally fell into this opportunity that we are in now, okay, of building our business and being able to, serve coaches from all over the world, okay, to build their own business online. And it was through this, like the 7-figure funnel that we offer in Ivy Leads, it literally does this. It asks the key questions, 5 to 6 key questions, allows them to answer them very quickly and smoothly, and allows you to get the information that you need while they are experiencing something unique and special because it's fast, quick, and effective. It's so important. Like she wrote this a couple of years ago, okay? People now in present day, when you're watching this, we're in 2022 right now, okay? We have the attention span of freaking goldfish, okay? No one is gonna spend 15 minutes or take your Calendly Acuity freaking 10 question seriously. They need to be in and out fast and effective, okay? So to me, this is a very important topic because this is where I feel a lot of people fall short, and they undermine the power of getting people's responses. So I encourage you, if you haven't built out a questionnaire or survey or something, go out there, experiment, test. I know we're constantly testing, and analyzing the data that we currently have to see how we can actually take new approaches in our own business. So go ahead, kill it. You rock this. And I'm so excited for all the blessings heading your way. I'll see you in the next video where we're going to be doing chapter 4, part 2. And the first thing that Lori's going to talk about is pricing. And she has some really good stuff in here that I can already see an algorithm, a cost calculation. Like, okay, she's getting into it. So I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye.